Welcome to Spill the Tea, and I've got a very special guest joining me today, my friend Motshidisi Mohono. Chomi,
Chomi,
Orevel.
it's so good to see
So
you.
good to see you.
I feel like it's been years,
Hey,
and it
when
hasn't been
it's like time like goes by so
so
quickly,
quickly.
right? And it's
Yeah,
almost like as if like the older we get,
the
like
less
it's
time
almost
we
like
have.
it just goes.
Faster and faster
Do
and
you know
faster.
someone said to me the other day, he's like, spend time with your children because he's a banker or he used to be a banker, retired banker. He says if you were to calculate the time you spend with your kids before they leave home, let's say at 18 in days, it only gives you 7,000 days in your
It
life.
doesn't sound like a
It
lot.
doesn't sound like a lot. It's like, trust me, 7,000 days
Go by like
goes by like
this.
this. And even now, like, when we catch up, it means like we must make the most of that time,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's good to see you,
So
though.
good to see you.
Yeah,
Just for our Betway squad at home, for
yeah.
those that don't know, to kind of like get to know Motshidisi. First of all, o goletse kae, Joe? Like, you know?
Ke ngwana Kasi, ke ngwana Katlehong on the East
Yeah,
Rand. Ke holetse K1. I was just the typical Kasi kid,
yeah.
always go strateng, playing with my friends, hanging out. Team Kusha, Martini,
Oh, yeah.
Chicago. I was
All of
there.
it.
Yeah, we really were the kids that would go back home, like dirty, dirty kids. But what an upbringing, man! When life
Yeah.
seemed so much simpler, yeah, and Nick and everyone's your parent, everyone's taking care of you. There was such a great sense of community at that time that I really, really miss now that I don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, ke goletse K1, two younger siblings, one older sibling. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
And at that time, I mean, I know for us growing up, like Nadlala Polo in the streets, are you playing any sports at all at that time?
Yeah, so I started netball in primary school. Netball was kind of my thing. I tried tennis, but I just couldn't keep up with the pace, which is strange for someone that played center and wing
Yeah.
defense in netball, right? And then I joined the hockey team when I got to grade 8 at my high school, Marethil Yun, and I really enjoyed it. So I tried to play both for a while, but I pushed hockey more, and then in grade 11 switched back to netball. So I played netball and hockey, but that's kind of my school journeys where I learned about all the other codes. So cricket, I was introduced to cricket by the boys in primary school, and then got into tennis. My mom was always an avid tennis lover, but I never really wanted to sit and watch.
Yeah.
But when you're hearing everyone else discussing, oh, this match, oh, that match, oh, this player, you also want to get involved. So I got into tennis as well. And then rugby I got introduced to the sport in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always crazy, I guess, when you come full circle. I'm sure at that time you never even thought, one
Not
day,
even
like,
a little bit. I thought I thought it was just like it was organized warfare.
yeah,
Like, why are we watching people beat each other up on the field? Because that's what it felt like for
yeah.
someone who's never watched the sport. It probably is
And no
just the
one in Katlehong
brutality
was
of it.
playing rugby.
No one
You
in
know what I
Katlehong
mean?
was playing rugby.
Yeah.
No one. Even hockey. I mean, I remember it was myself, another neighbor of ours, Umuzi, also used to play hockey, but that was it. Rugby, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
I had never seen it being played. Didn't know the rugby ball. Didn't know the scoring. I'd always heard about 95, etc., but because for the limited access that we had, we never got to watch it. So rugby was never really a thing, even at home.
Yeah.
But when I got to school, then it's like, okay, this is the culture, this is the game, this is how it's played. And even when I left school, I wasn't invested in the game itself, but I really enjoyed what the culture meant. Seeing parents coming out, getting the braai stands going, ba the energy, little drink, little
Yeah.
what. So that excited me about the sport. But even then, I was not quite immersed in it
Yeah.
just yet. Yeah.
I know even going to UJ, like the rugby culture was huge there, but
Yeah.
that's not something that piqued your interest. Instead, it's going into radio.
It's
I mean,
going into radio,
yeah,
exactly. And it's strange now that I think about it. We used to like go down and watch UJ play as a race. I was in
yeah,
Squinfeld, but I wasn't captured by the game itself. It was more like the atmosphere, the camaraderie with the other races. That was more my vibe
yeah.
than okay, what's going on in the field. But yeah, as you mentioned, then I started radio there, UJFM, and I actually went in trying to be a DJ, but it was a rock radio station, so I wasn't the flavor they were looking for. But they liked the way I read the news,
Yeah.
so I read the news on the breakfast show with the Nick V, until about March 2008. That's when I joined Y.
Yeah.
And then that first weekend of April 2008 was my first bulletin
Wow.
on air. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool, man. Like, why was like, it's such a breeding ground for like a lot of, you can point in so many industries of
So
people
many,
that
yeah.
started at Y, like when we started before you guys came in. It's been so great. Like, and I guess it played a pivotal role in almost how you also end up in sport because you went there to do news, didn't you?
Yes, I started out doing news, but like the thing about why is that because you're surrounded by young people, the lifestyle is also youth based. So it was we go out to parties, but we're keeping up with our
Yeah.
team. So what would I be eating? We all want to
We
watch it
all go
together. We all
together.
go
Yeah.
somewhere and watch it together. Then it's the banter in between. Then the EPL comes in. Then it's La Liga. So I can even remember like I think it was 2009 when we were watching Barcelona Chelsea the semi final.
Yeah.
I remember sitting with Lerato, Zukile, I think we were with Mo Flavor as well, watching, and it was just like, guys, are we putting money on this? What's happening? Is Chelsea gonna take this one? So it was really that kind of vibe, and it kind of continued stoking the love of sport for me. But I was so focused on doing news, and I think because I studied accounting, the more serious things are probably just it just made a lot more sense at the time to be
Yeah.
focused on that.
And then
Yeah.
how do you pivot to go to the sports side?
So in 2011, Tatomiyeng left to join Supersport full time.
Yeah.
So there was a vacancy on our sports desk. And I remember I just walked into Zukila's office, knocked on the door. I was like, it's there. I'd like to take over the sports desk.
Yeah.
And he was like, show me what you can do. And that was it. I was doing bulletins the next day, I think. I was doing sports
Jeez.
bulletins the next day. So it was a real like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But the rugby side of things, or Lady Raga rather, the presenter search, was a dare from the newsroom. They were the ones seeing the ad. I didn't know anything about it. And they're like, no, you should try it.
Wow.
You had rugby in high school. But I'm like, guys, it's not like I know the sport in and out. Like, give me netball, give
Yeah.
me football
Then I
even,
can go do
then
that.
then
Yeah.
I'll be able to shine. And they're like, no, you're a broadcaster. Go and try it out. Just go try it out. And I went and tried it out. And yo,
Yes.
just cascade one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And we're here today.
Jeez, it's crazy how it starts. That I guess it speaks to you can never despise like small beginnings, right?
Absolutely not. Yes.
Like it goes from you doing Lady Raga in 2011, but it almost takes you like another 5 years before you even start to anchor rugby game.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, 2011, we were covering the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand. But the show that I was doing was very social media focused. So it was like a lot of fan engagement on that show. And, you do well, but you don't know just how well you're doing. And then I remember Blitz, the 24-hour news channel, were looking for journalists to come and join them.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, that's the foot in the door. That's the real foot in the door. So I
Yeah.
got in that way and I never left,
Oh, oh,
never left. Because
yeah.
the work we're doing at Blitz is exactly what we're doing at Y.
Yeah,
Now we're
I was
just
gonna say
adding
that.
pictures.
Yeah.
So really enjoyed Blitz 2012, 2013. Then 2013, I remember I got a call from the rugby department. Um, from Monica Mate. She was the production manager at the time. And she's like, ma'am, you're working in Bloemfontein on Monday, Varsity Cup. She gives me the game, and I'm like, wait. I thought it was a prank. In fact, no, Lo called first, our
Yeah.
EP at the time. Lo calls me, and he's like, hi, my name is Lo. I'm the EP of rugby. A lady called Monica's going to call you with all your flying details. We need you on our Varsity Cup team. Next week, Monday is going to be your first game. I was just like, this is
Like, who's this?
so when she called, I was like, what? They want me? They want me for real? Yes, let's go. So Varsity Cup is where I started. But my first international was in 2016. South Africa versus Italy. I know we lost, but that's how like I got my teeth stuck in.
Yeah.
And it's a tough day, even as a broadcaster when the Springboks lose, because the morale just dips.
And for you to try to keep up the energy
Yeah,
and make,
you know what I
that's
mean?
tough.
And it being your first game even. So it was a big day, but I think I handled myself really, really well. And I really enjoyed the experience, and I realized like this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then more opportunities just came after that.
That's awesome. What were some of the challenges? I mean, you're coming into an industry that we know is male dominated. Now you're coming into a sport that's associated with Dimana, and like now you're gonna have this black girl coming into our sport, and leading and headlining the stuff. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
you had a lot of pushback against
A
it.
lot of pushback, you know. When I was like the anomaly. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You don't look like anybody in this space. You don't conduct yourself in that manner. And I think for a lot of broadcasters, when you haven't played the sport, there's almost like that little, it's just like a little reminder in the back of your mind, like, you're not, you won't be as good as them,
Yeah.
you know. But I knew that I was a good broadcaster, and it was actually Carol that gave me great advice. She said, you need to find your X factor. You'll never be them. You'll
Yeah.
never be an ex player. You'll never be an ex coach. This is a sport that you are watching outside of that circle, but your perspective still matters, and you need to use your perspective. You need to use your space, your X factor, to bring this information to life for your viewer. And once I started looking inward instead of outwardly, that's when things started to change. That's when my honing of my craft, it really got refined, because I started to pay attention to how I was bringing the information across, how I was making my panel better. You know, even in my research and whatever, any information I'd find, I always ask, like, how do I turn this into a brilliant question that will bring the best information for our viewer? So my philosophy is we need to always educate, entertain, and inform. You know, I want someone to walk away from our broadcast thinking, sure, I didn't think
Yes, I
about
didn't
it
know
like
that.
that. Or, ooh, I didn't know that at all. Or, oh, no, I don't agree, actually.
Yeah.
This is what I think. Let's go back and forth on this, or let's debate this. That's what you want. That's how you keep people engaged, you know? So that's where I started getting better, like really just refining that, refining that. And the more productions that you get, the better and better you become.
Yeah. You didn't believe the call when they called you for Varsity Cup. Where were you? What were the emotions when you get the call that you're going to be like the first, not even just female, to anchor a Rugby World Cup final
In
in 2019?
studio, the goosebumps, the goosebumps. I don't even remember the call. It must have been Tato that called me.
Yeah.
Tato Monale was our EP at the time. And it was a hard time because I just lost my dad. My father passed away 2 days before the start of the tournament.
Oh,
So
man.
even that beginning time, I was nowhere near the sport. I was not even thinking about it. And I didn't really think I'd have the strength to return, you know. But then I did, and coincidentally, my first game World Cup 2019 was South Africa, Italy.
Wow.
And there's
Wow.
right
Look at
full circle.
that.
I know.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
the boys just smashed them. They made mincemeat of Italy. I think at some point we had uncontested scrums because both props and one of the
Oh,
reserves
they
were
went out.
out.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
out. Yeah. So when I got the call, I like, it's unbelievable. It's stuff you work your whole career for. 2015, I really wanted to be in the UK for that one, but I just had to be held back. It wasn't my turn. It wasn't my
Yeah.
turn just yet. So then again, back to the grinding stone, work hard, work hard, work hard. And I think the build up to 2019 was so much better for me, that when that opportunity came and it was like South Africa in the final, you're gonna anchor it with a 2 hour. We had like a 2 hour build up, unheard of at Supersport, and you're in the chair.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to bring to the table? So it was fantastic. I remember driving to studio. It was raining that morning, early morning. I think our call time was like 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Unamidu be the whole night, you know, that never-ending rain. Like, and I was just like, blessings, blessings, you know, because you got to
Yeah.
have that positive perspective. And as I was driving in, I parked the car and then start to see some of the crew members coming in, and everyone's in their Springbok shirts.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, we're gonna win this
We're
thing.
going to do this.
This fairy tale's about to come true. We're gonna win the whole thing. You know, and I got into makeup, started doing my makeup, and just thinking like, oh, I wish my dad was here, but I know he's here. Um, and praying and just center me, you know, center me, Lord. Let me be here, let me be present, and let me be good, because I had prepped. It's just sheet after sheet of preps laid out on the table. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this well. And then I remember I called my mom. I think we're 5 minutes to air, and I was like, "Oh my, this moment is too big." She's like, "That's the point. That's why you're there.
That's why you've
You
been
can handle
prepared
the
for
big
this moment.
moment."
Yeah.
Yeah, just call your elders, call your ancestors, let God be in the room, and do what you know you're good at. And we flourished. Yo, we were cruising nicely. Yo, what a final, what a production, and just the fairy tale of the 2019 team to win the World Cup the way they did, in the fashion that they did.
Yeah.
Especially because they just came under the radar. Like, nobody had
No one really
expected.
thought.
There was no expectations
Yeah.
on this team. I mean, Rassie had only been at the helm for a year and a half, and there they were on the world stage, number one, the champions of the world. it's just extraordinary to be a part of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Talk to me about never then resting on your laurels. You could say, yes, yes, I've kind of reached that peak now, but you kind of take it up a step now. The next World Cup, now you are in France, pitch side. It's the final again. Can they do it again? But for you personally, on your journey, you could have Gabo cheats or Rajo. I
I'm
was the
done
first woman.
now,
I'm done.
right?
Da da da. You know.
Exactly. And I don't know if this happens to you, friend, but like sometimes you achieve something, and then you have this anxiousness about, can I really do better than this?
Yeah.
Is there
Is there
is it
like,
even possible that there's
yeah.
a new level after this? And I remember I had a debrief with my friend Volo because we always have a breakfast before World Cup to call the winner. Then we'll have a debrief to talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
Or okay, did we get it right? And we did. We called South Africa for the win, just out of pure luck, dumb luck. And there he said to me, the next best thing for you would be to be in France in 2023. And it just seems so far-fetched at the time because I'm like, how am I even going to manufacture an opportunity to do that? But for the next 2, 3 years, that's all my focus was on, is that whatever I do must lead me to France 2023. And I think COVID kind of put me in a bit of a rut, thinking it's not going to
It's not
happen
gonna
anymore
happen. Yeah.
because so much changed. The way we do what we do changed, the way we do production has changed, and then the sport comes back, but there's no fans in the stadium, so it's all so dull. And then British and Irish Lions is supposed to be like a little bit of a
Almost a
lift, but
kickstart,
still
but it
there's no
still it
fans.
was, yeah.
But the quality of our production was really, really good,
Yeah.
and I think that was a reminder to me that, look, even though the world has changed, your standard cannot drop.
Yeah.
So now you have an opportunity to show them again just how brilliant you are. And we knocked that out the park. And then the next year was the Wales tour to South Africa. I anchored from the second test match. Then it's Rugby Championship again, next level. End of year tour 2022, we did the whole tour, all of the nations
Yeah.
covered, next level. And that's perfect prep for
For World
the
Cup,
Rugby
right?
World Cup.
Yeah.
So when World Cup 2023 came, then it's not far-fetched for me to say, guys, I want to be there from the quarterfinals. If South Africa make it all the way, can I be there for the
Yeah.
final? Then it's like, cool, no problem. Let's do this. Where can we be? How can we work the logistics, etc., etc. And I remember quarterfinal day, start of France, one of the most hostile environments. I mean, it blows you away. It's absolutely exquisite. It's an exquisite environment to watch rugby, especially if you are like the home fan, the
Yeah,
home
you're
team,
like,
right? But they were saying La Marseillaise. They was just chanting. If they could boo, they probably would. Like just reminding us that, yeah, you South Africans,
you don't
you're
even
not
stand a
gonna get
chance.
out of this one
Yeah.
without a fight. And I walked down with like 3 minutes to go, and I was standing beside, and I was like, Lord, I did not pack 4 bags to not make it all the way
Yeah.
to the end of
To
this
go back
tournament. I'm
unpacked.
not going back home on Tuesday. I'm
Yeah.
not going back home on Tuesday. And they hung on,
Sure.
and they hung on, and I'm seeing Faf flying into tackles, Jesse Creel working, the whole team just getting stuck in, Peter Steph Toy on the field, just working their socks off. And the final whistle goes, and I'm so elated. I'm jumping up and down. I've forgotten.
You forget that you had
There are
words. Now you're
Frenchmen
like,
that are watching me like, And I remember there was a group that Victor and I were with, and they even came to shake our hands and like, well done. Hopefully you go all the way, and just like silly faith. Like who am I to think God is going to engineer things for my sake?
You know what I mean?
No, but there it was. And I got to stay for another 2 weeks. And I watched the England game as well. Also, edge of your seat stuff. And then that final was just extraordinary. That team just has a place they go where they just find one more way, one more thing, one more piece of inspiration, one more spark that can get them over the line. And to watch your nation win the World Cup at the World Cup, I don't think there's anything that will compare in my career to that moment. That first time, it was sensational.
Yeah.
It was sensational. And that, I think, is a lesson about, you've got to almost dream the next big ridiculous thing. It's got to be like I'm going to be
It's
pitch
gotta
side
scare
at a World
you,
Cup.
right? Yeah.
Like I have no business dreaming like that, but there I was.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to psych myself into the next thing. Like, okay, what is another ridiculous thing that you really, really want?
What is that
can
thing?
propel? I don't know.
Because
I
Elliot's
don't
like so,
I think maybe playing on a bigger stage, a more global stage.
yeah.
I think that would be
Yeah.
the next big thing for me. I just had a little one, so my focus this year has really been on my pregnancy,
Yeah.
the baby, raising the little baby, little girl, love of my life.
Oh man.
But I know that now I have an even bigger expectation of
Oof.
myself because of her.
Yeah.
Because I also want her to see that, mommy's progression and trajectory is just going all the way up.
Yeah.
So I think playing on the global stage, I don't know what that looks like. I have not cemented, I don't have a line for it at the moment, but that definitely, yeah.
Look, if your career is anything to go by, it might take 2 years, might take 4 years, but at least you know you've had the longevity. You're
Yeah.
able to stay that long that when
Yeah.
it does happen, then you'll look back and say, Ish, after the 23 World Cup, I said I want to be on a global stage,
Here I
and here
am.
you are. I think you're
Can't
such an
wait.
inspiration,
Thank
not just
you.
for little girls, but boys, everyone that really wants to be a success, especially in an environment where you're not expected to be there.
Yeah.
You can go out there and kick ass,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Continue kicking
you.
down those doors, because in 10, 20 years
Thank
time, tla be
you.
ho na le bo Motshidisi ba bang ba banyane that are like,
Yes.
I saw her
Yes.
do it, so I believe that I can do it.
Yes, I think that's the weight of the nickname First Lady of Rugby, right? And I always tell people like, yeah, I may be the first, but I want to be the first of many.
Yeah.
That's what I want my legacy to be. I really want to be a person that younger broadcasters one day will be able to say, no, Motshidisi gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
Motshidisi called this person to make this
To
meeting
open up,
happen,
yeah.
which opened the door for
Because that's
me.
kind of how we also got in.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
how we got
Someone
in,
does, yeah.
When you're on the top floor, bring down the elevator for everybody else. And I think that's what I want my legacy to be. I really want to be the first of many. I want to be like Gibes Fate and the branches just flow
Yeah.
and bear good fruit.
Awesome.
Because of my rootedness, because I decided I'm just going to be the sturdy one for you,
Yeah.
and you guys go and you conquer. Yeah.
Chomi,
Thank you, Chomi.
good to see you.
Love you.
Well done. Love you lots.
Sure, sure.
Keep shining.
Keep shining.